In this episode, we're going to be diving in what you can do when life feels stuck. What's up, friends, and welcome to The Beautiful Mess, where we talk about tools and tactics to improve your life. I'm your host, Paul Didis, a YouTuber, podcaster, content creator, and super excited today to be diving into what you can do to get unstuck in life when life just seems like there's no sense of direction and you feel like you're wandering around. And I've had this feeling before, and I'll actually share a little bit of my story, a little bit more than I usually do. So if you're new or you've been around, there's probably something for you. But first off, I want to encourage you to know that you're not the only one. In fact, I was looking at this Telegraph, the news, the Telegraph. They have like this article, and one of the subheadlines of it was that according to a study, basically 69% of people feel trapped in the same old routine, and over 40% are unhappy with their lives. So you are in good company if you feel like you're stuck, and if you feel like you don't have a sense of direction, or you're like feeling like you're in a little bit of a rut. Today, we're going to be diving into some things that you can do to help improve that. So for me, like growing up, I had a big sense of purpose and drive in my life. I had like this like sense of, kind of like a calling in life. I felt like, this is what I'm going to be doing. This is how it's going to happen. In fact, in college, I had this plan all kind of laid out that I was going to graduate. I was into music. I have my music degree, and I was planning to go to grad school right afterwards, get my master's, and then go on for my doctorate, and then teach at a school. I was going to, compose on the side. I had all this planned out. And then life took a different turn. I recorded. And for those that are in music know what a pain this is. For most applications into choral conducting, you have to record kind of like you conducting a choir, and it has to be like certain things. And so I did that. I went through like that process. I created the video even, and I didn't end up sending it because life happened. And this is a little bit of what I'm going to dive into is like, it's so, you can fall into this default state by taking kind of like the easiest path. There's a path that presents itself and it's like, hey, this seems to make sense. And sometimes that's a right move. But at the same time, you might always wonder, what if? And so it's good to know when you should go for it. And then another time when you should just say, hey, this is not that time. Anyways, so I ended up not going into choral conducting, and I ended up taking a job in music, but like it was just kind of like a natural progression. It wasn't like I was choosing this. And that's one of the big things I want to talk about is that I think it's important to approach life from being a chooser, not life happening to you, like not picking from what is presented to you necessarily. Design your life according to how you want to live it out. That's going to bring you meaning and purpose in life. And so I ended up doing this for like 5-6 years, where I was in this type of work that I was doing church music, and I just got stuck creatively. Like I just felt like I just kind of got burnt out. I just felt like I couldn't get, I was doing all these things, like I was, making like good changes and stuff, but like I just felt like creatively, like I kind of burned out. And so if you're in that position, we're going to dive into some things that you can do to kind of address that. So like one of the first things that I'll start off with is kind of like what Jordan Peterson talks about. If you don't know what you want to do, or like a direction in life, he's like, pick something, just pick something. Maybe you just have too many choices. But the biggest thing is like, you got to aim at something, because in the process of aiming at something, you'll end up getting skills in a field, and you'll learn in the process what's things that you like and what are things that you don't like. And so that in the future, you'll be able to make a better informed decision. And not only that, but you also become more disciplined. You'll gain skills that aren't necessarily like a workmanship kind of skill, but just life skills, like just being able to have a structure or an order to achieving a goal. And then hopefully you'll achieve that goal. But even if you don't, you will have made progress, and that's better than never trying it at all. And there's a book that I'll recommend if you feel stuck in life. It's called The Upward Spiral. I read this book a while ago, but I kind of found some cool quotes that I wanted to share with you. Basically using the subheader is using neuroscience to reverse the course of depression, one small change at a time. So I love this quote here that I'm going to share with you. In mountaineering, if you're stuck in a bad situation and you don't know the right way out, you just have to pick a direction and go. It doesn't have to be the best direction. There may not even be a best direction. You certainly don't have enough information to know for sure. So if you start down a path and end up at a cliff, you'll just have to pick another direction from there. Because guess what? In a dire situation, you can't be certain of the right path. What you do know is that if you sit there and do nothing, you could die. That's basically what they're saying, is that if you just sit there and do nothing, you're in trouble, because especially if you're mountain, you could be in rough conditions. There could be many different factors that you're going up against. But if you just sit there and do nothing, you're going to end up having issues. And I'll say that even from a recent project and things that I've done in the past with just computers and software and web design, often it's better to try something. Like even if it breaks something, you'll learn so much trying to fix what you broke. And I think sometimes we're afraid of breaking something. We're afraid of trying something new. We're afraid that if we do something and we look stupid or we look like we don't know what we're doing, then that's problematic. But there's this thing from Theodore Roosevelt called The Man in the Arena. And if you haven't heard it before, I encourage you, just look it up. It's super encouraging for those that are just trying to start out and do something with their life. It's the person in the arena that fights, and then it's a critic that's on the sidelines just critiquing them, saying like, oh, look, they fell. But like, it's the man in the arena doing everything that, gets all the, they might fall down, they might struggle, but they're in it. They're putting in their best effort to get things done. And then another quote from the same book that I'll kind of just grab a little bit from. So like basically they say, worrying is often triggered by wanting to make the perfect choice or by trying to maximize everything. When buying a used car, you want one that is cheap, reliable, safe, pretty, and the right color and fuel efficient. Unfortunately, no single option is likely to be the best in all of those dimensions. If you try to have the best of everything, you're likely to be paralyzed by indecision or dissatisfied with your choice. In fact, this kind of maximizing has been proven to increase depression. And so, the perfectionist in me, like that's what I like to do. It's like, how can I find the best thing for the least price? When making a purchase decision, like I totally relate to this quote, but I also relate to the fact that like there comes a point where it actually is detrimental. Like you're like, I'm going to make the best decision, but in making it the best decision, you end up, not as well off if you would have went with a good enough choice, because you can spend so much time and energy just stuck in the reeds, and where it would be better off if you just make a decision, even if it's not the best one, and learn from your mistakes. You'll be better off. And that kind of brings me to my next point. It's like, just enjoy the little things of life, just make a gratitude list, start focusing on the things that you enjoy doing. It can be hard at first because everything just seems so bleak. And I've been there, and you just feel like there's no way out. And what am I doing with my life? Where can I go from here? There seems like there's no path forward. And I've been there. It's a rough place to be. And I think one of the biggest issues is that you feel like you have no time. You have no time for yourself. You have no time to take care of everything that's trying to get your attention. And I think this is the time where you have the time. This is the moment where you have to decide, hey, I've got to make time. I've got to push aside all of these other things that are vying for my attention in order to hear my own voice, whether that's spending time in silence, spending time in nature. I highly recommend it. Nature is like hands down one of the best things that you can just do, is just like spend time in nature. You don't have to do much. You just go on a walk. You sit on a park bench, but enjoy nature. It has many, many health benefits. If you need a reason, just get out in nature. But like by focusing on the present, and this is a quote, I'll share a quote from Alex Korb, the Upward Spiral book. Focusing on the present helps reduce anxiety and worry. So let's just recenter real quick. If you're worried about many things, maybe just tune them out for a moment and just realize that spend this time to reset yourself, to realize what it is that can help you in this moment, and just make a list. Maybe if I can do these things right now, that's one step in the right direction. And that's sometimes what you need, is just a very small step in the right direction. So focus on the little things that you can do, the little things that you enjoy. Make yourself a cup of tea, make yourself a cup of coffee, and read a good book. Enjoy a good YouTube video, something that'll help you learn and develop yourself. So just give yourself that time. If you feel like you're in the rat race, don't be afraid of it. Go back to the basics, And so think about, when did you have your last meal? Have you eaten enough? Do you eat enough every single day? Do you get enough sleep? That's super important. Like, I can't tell you enough, like the days that I get enough sleep, it's ironically night and day. Again, get into nature, live simply, and learn to say no. As a minimalist, I try to practice that. It's like, say no to all the other things that are going to take away from living a fulfilling life. Say no to those things that will bog you down and make you feel like you don't have enough. Because in the end, you only have 24 hours in a day, and what matters is what you do with that time. So what are you going to decide what you want to do with that time? And another thing is, like, make sure you use your technology intentionally. And this is something that I keep trying to do. It is very hard. So, if you're currently in the death scroll or are subject to it, I completely sympathize and with that, because like when it happens, like you just feel like then that kind of goes back to that stuck feeling. You just feel like maybe there's going to be something that's going to spark something. And I can tell you right now, there's a chance, but like more likely than not, you'll be better off spending that time just alone, maybe writing out why you feel stuck, so you can identify what's going on. I love this quote from the Extreme Ownership book, How U.S. Navy SEALs Lead and Win, by Jocko, Willink, and Leif Babin. They say basically, relax, look around, make a call. In war, it's very intense when you have to make a call, because there are lives on the line. But even in your day to day, it's important to relax. That's the first thing, is relax. It's crazy that even in war, the first thing that you should do before your, lizard brain just starts going crazy, it's like you need to take a step back, look around, see what the situation actually is. Do you need, someone to help you? Do you need to make a plan of action and then make a call? What is that going to be? What's the next step that you're going to take? And don't forget that even in the midst of this craziness, to have a giving mindset, to pay it forward, to look for ways that you can make someone's day a little bit better. Because in doing so, you're going to probably get much more than you give. Because one of the quotes that one of the things my professor would say is like, the more you give, the more you get. And so be a giver, not a getter. And that should have a ripple effect, because the more that you embrace that environment and you look for opportunities to do that, the people that you interact with, they're likely to do that with other people. And so hopefully you're having a positive impact on those around you. So one of the last things that I recommend, and like this was super impactful to me, was have someone that you can reach out to for help. And that can be, whether you need a professional or just a friend or someone that, is a role model to you, or you just value their opinion. Don't be afraid to reach out. And I actually had a conversation, I think it was, in about 2020, I called up this person that had a big influence and honestly, it was just like one moment that that just stuck with me. I like spent kind of like a couple weeks on this, this camp. I was helping lead it, but there was this one musician on that camp that spent the time, like I broke down. I was like just talking to them, and then all of a sudden, like it just like, and the reality was that person realized my need in that moment. They were like, hey, it's okay. It's okay. Like, don't worry about like all these other things. Like, what do you need right now? Like, are you hungry? And I hadn't eaten basically like, it might've been that whole day or like since the morning, who knows? But they were like, let me get you food, or, it was just like that basic human need. Like how many people are in tune to that. And because of that person doing that, I did that to another person, and they felt that impact. They came back, like they were like, hey, that meant a lot that you like stopped and asked me like how I'm doing, because like I'm dealing, like it's rough right now. Like it's rough. And so like you never know what's going to happen if you reach out, like not only like asking for someone to help, but like it is super impactful if you can do that to someone else, is just help them through a rough moment, like help them get the food that they need to just make it through. Because sometimes it's those little things that we just need in order to live a better life. It doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes it's like, what do I need in this moment? So that person was that for me. And I ended up reaching out to them and just saying, hey, like I feel stuck in life, and, I don't know if I want to continue in music. And so like, we just had this conversation, and it was just like, it was very enriching to have someone to talk to and just explain like where things are at in your life, and to get like, just like a kind of like a soundboard to like throw things out there and kind of get feedback and just to be heard. Because often we live in a very noisy environment. And when was the last time you talked to someone that really just heard you, that just like understood where you're at and what do you want to do in life? And I encourage you to be that for other people who might need your ears to hear them. So where does that leave us? If you're stuck in life, make space for yourself to get unstuck, because sometimes if you're hitting that wall and you're right up against that wall, you have nowhere to move unless you step back and then jump over the fence, but sometimes we're just like hitting up against the wall again and again and again and again. And if we don't give ourselves the space to be able to have the time and energy to be able to circumvent this current wall, then you're just going to keep hitting it and you're going to keep being stuck, because what is it? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So change up what you're doing. Maybe try some of the things mentioned. Another good book, if you're in like a career and you want to change it, one that was very influential to me was Overlap by Sean Wes. He kind of talks about how you can make a transition if you feel stuck, if you feel like you're in a golden handcuff situation, or if you just feel like you're ready for a creative change. Make a vision board, put up pictures of things that, or places that you want to go visit, the job that you want to do, like put it up in front of you so that you see it. Put it on your phone, put it on your desktop so that you can see it. And you can see what things in life that you're passionate about that will hopefully help you make an impact, make that transition from being stuck to unstuck. Start simple. And hopefully as you take the next step, that'll lead to the next step and you'll keep going. And if you want to reach out to me in the process, I'd love to hear from you. I'm at Paul Didis on most social media, then feel free to DM me. Would love to hear from you and would love to hear about your journey as you go through life. And hopefully, if you're stuck right now, you'll be messaging me in a year or less than that and saying, hey, like I was able to make a change. I was able to get unstuck. And that's amazing. So yeah, hopefully you're doing well. And if you want to be part of the Messy fam, be sure to rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. We are on YouTube. And in fact, I'm kind of honing in a little bit more on YouTube. So maybe go there, but we're on all the platforms. We're on Spotify. You can watch us there, Facebook. But YouTube, I'm starting to gravitate more towards. However, wherever you want to listen to it, great. And until next time, my friends, stay messy.